So a new game came out this weekend from a small franchise you may have heard of, Pokemon. I happen to be one of the few people who love this franchise, and therefore have made myself an honorary expert of the field. As such, I find it is my duty to give you an in-depth review of the game in all its features and flaws. Eventually. This is the younger cousin of that review, a spoiler-free impression review. Let's jump right into what anyone watching this really wants to know. Is this a generic Pokemon game, a godly game, or a sinful piece of garbage? And my answer is, I would put it here.
What? She has positive feelings about this game? Get her!
Whoa there, internet mob. I didn't say it was perfect. I said it was good. Pokemon is an interesting franchise because it has the most powerful gameplay formula ever created. 2 games, 8 badges, and a crap ton of cute monsters, and you have people lapping the local GameStop for that midnight release. But that power comes with great responsibility. I'll talk about it more in the large review, but for the purposes of getting a feel for how this game differs from past entries, I'd say it carefully toes the line between staying safe in the established and courting potential criticism with change. I feel for the most part they do this to the benefit of the game, but there are times they go too far. The game is both harder and easier than previous entries. If you run through the main story with little distraction, you might actually find yourself a bit underleveled. If you stay in the wild area and do some max raids, catch every Pokemon you see, and have a small grind session every hour or so, you will level up quickly and have no difficulties whatsoever. In short, leveling in this game isn't as hard as past entries. And this can be good or bad depending on your playstyle. If you're a casual player like me who saves shiny hunting and EV/IV training until after the game is finished, this makes for a smooth run through with plenty of tougher moments, but never frustratingly hard. If you do participate in those activities before the game is finished, I can see this making the game a bit easier and a bit lackluster. The story is also a bit of a mixed bag. I loved it, but I can see how some players might find it a little boring. The game focuses on you going through the gym challenge, but not as just some kid who lives in the literal smallest city ever, but as a challenger endorsed by their undefeated champion. It carries more weight, and when the characters in-game praise you, you get a feeling in this region it is an actual feat to beat any of these gym leaders. And I love that. I love that I'm impressive throughout the game, and regular people on the street notice me as this up-and-coming star trainer. I imagine it's what college athletes feel like, though, they actually train for years for their fame, and I just sat on my couch pressing A for a couple hours. But there are parts that feel underplayed, and if you don't allow yourself to be caught up in the spectacle of rising through the ranks, I imagine you won't have a good time. I won't concede anything on the characters, though. Every person you meet on your journey is great. This is a game about change and finding oneself, but in a very light-hearted way. Several characters will change and grow as you progress through the story. Your rival goes through probably the most character development since, well, maybe Silver compares, but that's about it. Now don't get me wrong, it isn't anything intense and mind-blowing, but compared to the hows and the berries of the franchise, it is nice to see a rival who actually is affected by their losses. Also, we see the return of a straight a-hole rival, and I love everything about him. The new Pokemon are 90% great, with the other 10% being funny, at least. I love the Pokemon they chose to come back. Most of the Pokemon aren't the most popular ones, and for me that's a positive because it means your team isn't the same 4 you've been playing with since Gen 3 and then 2 new ones for flavor. Of course you will see some popular picks, but I feel this is a great selection of fan favorites and underused characters. Dynamaxing is also an interesting mechanic, but the 3-turn limit makes it work as a fun one rather than frustrating. I really feel it is just a better Mega Evolution in a lot of ways. And the Galarian forms? I don't think there was a single Galarian form I didn't like. And the bonus evolutions? Glorious. Which leads me to the wild area. Does it have flaws? Yes. Do those flaws ruin the entire experience? No. It's a great addition to the region. Walking around, seeing so many new Pokemon, so many types of weather, and various biomes is an absolute delight. I spent maybe an hour in the area just looking for items and seeing what Pokemon made it into the game and if I could spot any of the new ones, and that was all before the first gym. The over-leveled Pokemon are a joy to run from in terror as you clutch your level 13 Zigzagoon. Pokemon fly overhead, they run from you if they're scared, they charge you if they're strong. It is an area that really feels like Pokemon existing as real creatures. Online could use a bit of work though. The frame rate was only a problem for me when online in the wild area, and even then it wasn't game breaking, it was just noticeable. There is a way to trade with friends through the internet or do raid battles with them, but it sometimes just doesn't want to connect. I've been able to get into a couple raid battles with strangers fine, other times the window for joining is already closed by the time I get the notification. It certainly isn't the cleanest method for online play, but it functions, and it never ruins your game or any scores that I know of, so while frustrating, certainly, it is mostly harmless. So overall, I'd give this game something around 8 out of 10 for a Pokemon game. Is it perfect? No. I just don't think those flaws are anything to crucify the game over. It has better character animations than past gens. It has more Pokemon available earlier. It has a dick rival, no catching tutorial if you've already caught a Pokemon, Dynamaxing and Dynamax raids, overworld wild Pokemon, more character customizations earlier, a decently sized post-game mission, and the best third act ending to a Pokemon game ever. I just think it's a nice big step in the right direction for Pokemon. Maybe you disagree, maybe you feel I've neglected to mention something. If so, I understand, but I'd like to ask you to wait until my full-length review comes out before really judging my opinions. Obviously, this is meant to just get out my impressions without spoiling the games for any indecisive folks looking for some feedback. Now, I'm off to play the game all over again, but this time with only normal types. I will see you guys in the next review. Bye-bye!